Chinua Achebe, you can see his picture here. Chinua Achebe, my great uncle, a great writer, one of the best in Africa, was Osita Aguna's boy. Osita Aguna was the first traditional in Igbo land to use the word Igwe. Nobody did before him. CCONO became governor. The day he came to address the traditional land in Enugu House of Assembly, Osita Aguna asked the traditional, none of you should stand up for him. He's a public servant. You are kings. You know what happened? When CCONO came in, the whole traditional land stood up for him, except Osita Aguna. Osita Aguna fought and was pushing this in that government should stay away from anything to do with appointing traditional rulers. The community appointed and the government will give a certificate. Government should not be involved in selecting. Today, that's what's happening. Somebody like Abilikete Ugochukwu of Umunze, who was one of the richest Igbo men when he was alive. He was a cabinet member for Osita Aguna before he went to his own town to become a traditional ruler. Osita Aguna was that patriotic. He doesn't drive a car that's not made in Nigeria. Bring him the biggest Mercedes or limousine, not him. If it's not made in Nigeria, he will not enter that car. So what I'm about to read to you is what Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, the great Dr. Nnamdi, said to Osita Aguna when he came out of prison. He went to visit him in his uncle's house, Mr. Mocho, in Lagos. And Zik said in a letter he left for him, he said, "My dear Aguna, welcome from the veil of suffering. You have passed through the crucible in order to make Nigeria free, and your name, along with others, shall forever be enshrined in our national pantheon." That was Azikiwe. Now, so, as I was saying, Osita Aguna came out from prison. He ran for Federal House of Representatives. He was the first Enugu man to become an MP or Your Excellency, whatever that is. From 1954 to 1958, front bencher. And it was that 1958, 4 years, Zik and Belewa had come here to visit him. And the arrangement was that they were going to make him Minister for Youth and Sports when he comes the next session, which was 1958 to like 1960 or 62, and thereabout. That was when Enugu people approached him to become the Igwe. Because his father, Lazarus Aguna, had passed away 1939. So it was 19 years. This town has no traditional ruler. 19 years, between 1939 and 1958, there was no traditional ruler in this town. It's all the title people, the Ozo people, the Indians, the people that took care of things when it comes to tradition. So it was in those days, that 1958, he came back for a recess. You know, the people in parliament, they came for a recess. He was still in his father's house, that St. Peter called Udenibo House. That's where he was. And in those days, Enugu had what they call EPU, Enugu Progressive Union. They were having a meeting in those days, and government has said every town must provide a traditional law. And that was why they approached Aguna. They approached him. The first people they sent came. He said no, he's not coming to answer the call. Second group of men were sent. He refused. Third group of men were sent. He refused. Now, a man, an older person from Urubeleke village called Paul Ezigbo. That man said, volunteered and said, let me go and try and tell him why he's being invited. If he said no, then we can find an alternative. So Paul Ezigbo, being a man, a good man that Osita Aguna respected, he was an older person, he was born in 1904 or something. So Paul Ezigbo came and eventually convinced Osita Aguna to go with him, just by the market day. So when he got there, the whole town has assembled. And they were shouting on him, Aguna, why is it that the whole town was invited you here? You are showing off for us. Who do you think you are? After they shouted, the situation calmed down. He raised his hand and he began to ask people, Mr. A, I know you. You came from Ngwa, Aba. He said to the person, did you have a circular of this meeting? Oh, yeah, I had a circular. Mr. A, you live in Enugu. Did anybody give you a circular for this meeting? Oh, I had a circular. You live in Abakaleke. So many people we spoke to, and they say, all confirm, oh, we had circular, we knew this meeting in advance. They're now going to ask the Enugu people. If anybody has given a circular to me about this meeting, let him raise his hand. Nobody did. He said, I'm just 300 years away from where we are. And most of you know I'm around. How come nobody gave me a circular for the meeting? And you're querying me why I never wanted to come. Oh, they apologized. Now, why was I here? And they say, oh, since we looked around, we checked with the spirits and blah, blah, blah. You know, you. He wasn't the first son. He had a brother, senior brother, who was a lawyer. I say, it's you that the gods have chosen to become Igwe. He said, no, I will not be Igwe of Enugu because you people didn't treat my father well. And he got up out of anger to walk out. Each time he tried to exit, they blocked the place. Every exit where he wanted, they blocked the place. Men was like, put their hands, no, you're not going anywhere. So eventually, there was one objection. One man objected to that. Mr. Peter Okoye from Urunebo village. He's passed away now. That man said, no, he can't be king. His father was very brutal and very harsh. This one will do the same thing. So Osita Aguna got angry and said, this man must withdraw what he said, otherwise I'm not interested. Then the elders from where his mom came from, most of them much older than him, and they said to him, look, is it because of what one man said that you get it? And he said, yeah, the man is disrespecting my father. And then they said to him, go and make a robe of patience, because this town, they will put a bag of salt on your head and they will make rain. And that was what happened. Osita Aguna said he was nominated at the market area, the hall, town hall there, as Igwe is Enugu. Then it was in this palace he was crowned. So some people get it wrong. They say, oh, he was crowned at Enugu. No, he was nominated as Igwe. But the day they put the crown on his head was here in this palace. It was only one room here then. One room, nothing else. February 1958. That was when it happened. Now, after he was crowned, the community was here, chanting, eating, drinking, and they asked him, what can we give you as Igwe? What can the town give you to mark this coronation? He asked them for a typewriter that he knows how to type. The typewriter was to, for him to be able to make circular for meetings or, something to, that should buy him a typewriter. Till Osita Aguna died, after doing this town for 50 years, that typewriter was never bought for him. Remember what they said? 1958. Yes. Typewriter. That's all he asked for as a traditional law. Till he died, nobody bought him that typewriter. This community never did it. Now, Osita Aguna became traditional law in 1958. Then in 1960, the government said we want a clan head. A clan head for every clan. And then in this clan, we are known as Nre people, Umondre. By seniority is Enugu, senior to Nofia. Enugu father is Opalakan. People make the wrong pronunciation. Opalanakana. There's nothing like Opalanakana. Opalakan, the big Opalakan, the big one. Opalakan Okade. That was our father. Then he was senior to Opalanriam, the father of Nofia, next town. Then Opalanriam is senior to Ifekwanim, the father of Aguhu. And then Aguhu was senior to Agui, who was the father of Enugu. Those are the 4 towns that made Umar in those days. And then government have said they want a clan head. So this was contested at Njikoka local government area. And then eventually it was Enugu who was represented by Osita Aguna. I think Onyeso came for Aguhu. Okam came for Enugu, and one of them came from Norway with their delegation. After all these people stood, and then they were claiming seniority. Eventually, Enugu said, we're going to say the truth. Enugu is the most senior in Omod. So now, when he put it by vote. Enugu had 8 votes. North had 4 votes because they stood on their own. Agu has 4 votes. Enugu actually supported Enugu. Enugu had 8 votes. That's how Aguna was given that Igwe month. And when he came here after, they made that offer Mako. It's like 1, 2, 3, then the big one. And that's how Aguna became the Enugu. And when he asked him, say, now you're Enugu, what can we call you as the head of clan? And he came out and looked at the sky. Said, what do you call the sky? What's the big, how far can you go after the sky? That's the limit. And he said, Igwe. They said, yes. Osita Aguna was the first traditional in Igbo land to use the word Igwe. Nobody did before him. Nobody. Anybody telling you is just lying. Because people like to make lies, fabricated stories to suit their purpose, whatever that is, whatever they gain from it. No traditional in Igbo land use the name Igwe before Osita Aguna. Nobody. Now, Aguna was Igwe Eze Enugu and Igwe Mod. So from that 1960, he ruled this town for 50 years. 50 years. Osita Aguna was the first when old Anambra, when they formed the first Anambra State Council of Traditional Ruler, it was comprised of this Anambra we are now, Enugu and Ebonyi. That was old Anambra. 420 towns. Osita Aguna was the chairman. So it was Igwe Kigwe, King of Kings, in Anambra, for 5 years. He was the one that introduced traditional rulers not to stand up for governors. CCONO became governor. The day he came to address the traditional ruler in Enugu House of Assembly, Osita Aguna asked the traditional, none of you should stand up for him. He's a public servant. You are kings. You know what happened? When CCONO came in, the whole traditional ruler stood up for him, except Osita Aguna. I'm telling you for fact. You know what CCONO did as governor? He turned around and said, why should my father be standing up for me? He came to Osita Aguna and shook his hand. Because both of them were parliamentarians in the 50s. CCONO was a member of Federal House of Reps in the 50s. So him and Aguna knew each other for years before that time. So Osita Aguna gave traditional ruler in Igbo land the respect they have today, the honor they have today, the prestige. Osita Aguna did it single-handedly. He was the only traditional ruler that would go to the north, and the northern traditional sultans or emirs would respect him. He has a history. But today, the word Eze or Igwe is being used by every riffraff. Even sometimes they have 2 traditional rulers. This is Igbo land for you now. Kings don't mean anything in our place. Igbos don't have honor, respect for their kings. So we answer the name of Eze, which means I have no respect for a king. I stand up and greet you. You can't do that in Yoruba land. You can't do that in Hausa land. It's only in Igbo land. When a man has become a trader for a few years and he got some few millions, he gets to his head. He goes back to his village to tell the king, who are you after all? I have money. This is what Aguna fought for and built for. Nobody now is following his footsteps. Nobody. Nobody have that courage. Osita Aguna doesn't go to government house. He writes a note for the governor. Come and see me tomorrow by 1. He come by 1. He doesn't have to go to them. But today, our traditional will go to government house to kiss their behind. Oh, you're looking for contract. You want to be noticed. If then the governor give you certificate, tomorrow he can take it away from you. Osita Aguna fought and was pushing this in that government should stay away from anything to do with appointing traditional rulers. The community you appointed and the government will give a certificate. Government should not be involved in selecting. Today, that's what's happening. That's why we have so much problem in most Igbo, even in northern Nigeria now. Look at what happened in Kano. Adeboyero was my father's friend. He comes here. My father goes to Kano to visit him. But look at some man that did well for Kano State. Look at what they've done to the family. Now his son is now crowned. Tomorrow another governor will come and say, a governor that have no royal blood in him. Some riffraff will come and say, I dethrone a king because you are governor. That should not be part of our, that should not be in the Nigerian government. Should start away for it to do with kingship. You are in office for 8 years at most. The king is there for life. What makes you think you are superior to him? Because this is what my father fought for. Single-handedly, nobody backed him up. Everybody is paying the price today. It's not only in Igbo land it's happening. Even in Yoruba land, they are fighting. I remember somebody like former Obo of Lagos, Oyeko. Let me show you the picture. It was my father and Zik that put Oyeko on the throne. I'll show you the picture. Obo Oyeko, who was the great Oba of Lagos, was a good friend to my dad. Today, what we have is traditional rulers that beg. Even in Igbo land, some traditional rulers, before they become Igwe in their towns, has become cabinet members of Osita Aguna. Somebody like Abilikete Ugochukwu of Umunze, who was one of the richest Igbo men when he was alive. He was a cabinet member for Osita Aguna before he went to his own town to become a traditional ruler. Yeah, that's how powerful the man was. You know, that's the one I tell people not to come here and mix things up for me, and I get mad. Because one thing I know is that I'm organized. You can't take that away from me. I have pictures and pictures, and I can't find bloody thing. You know, there are so many. This palace has history that no other palace in Nigeria could claim. None. I'm telling you for fact. You can't even see so many things that I kept here. Bloody people. Huh? Ah, Lord. Come. Zik. God. Bloody hell. Anyway, I look for it after. But so somebody like Oba Oyeko of Lagos, it was Osita Aguna and Zik that put him on the throne. He was a good friend to my father. But today, we have some traditional who doesn't respect other tribes. They open their mouth and talk anyhow. As a traditional, you should conduct yourself with respect. You should respect other tribes. Look at the current Oni of Ife, a young man who I respect so much. He's doing his job, very, very humble. Yes. When Oni of Ife first started, everybody was looking down on him. He's a small boy. But the point is not about his age, it's the throne that he represents that matters. Oni of Ife is a character to be emulated. You have to emulate somebody like him. You know, he's a young man, but the way he carries himself with the throne, that's what I wish my father was alive. There was somebody like that you call close to him. You know? So Aguna hasn't become the first chairman of first Anambra State Council of Traditional Rulers. He was the first chairman of Anambra State Council for Arts and Culture. If you look at this book now, this book is a production of Anambra State Council for Arts and Culture. If you look at it. Yeah, in the 70s. Now, it's called Igbo, a language and a people. The governor then was Colonel D.S. Abubakar. That was the governor then. D.S. Abubakar was governor, military administrator of Anambra, old Anambra, right? After the governor, the next person is Osita Aguna. You can see it. That's Aguna there for you. Yeah? But why am I mentioning this book? Is to show you that today, Chinua Achebe, you can see his picture here. Chinua Achebe, my great uncle, a great writer, one of the best in Africa, was Osita Aguna's boy. Achebe worked under my father. So in those days, when after writing something, before it's published, Achebe will bring it to my father to vet. So today, Achebe is being honored. They've named the airport, Umwe Airport, after him. If Chinua Achebe can be honored as a writer, what about his boss? Do you understand what I'm saying? If Chinua Achebe as a writer can be rewarded with that airport to remember his legacy, he's a great man and I respect him. He's a good friend to my father. He comes here. Even after he was paralyzed, after the car accident, he still comes to see my father here. But those Aguna who fought for Nigerian independence, become #1 Igwe in Igbo land. The picture I show you here, this one, at least I can get my hand to this one, will show you in those days. I'm talking of East Central State, old Imo State, I think. You look at the picture here, you see above Benin. Yeah? You look at this side, you see Osita Aguna sitting with Emma of Kano, and with who? Obi of Onitsha. So in Igbo land, there was Osita Aguna #1, Obi of Onitsha, Okabwe, Ofala Okabwe, second to him. That was what happened. So today, what I'm saying is that Nigeria as a country have not honored a great hero like Osita Aguna, who gave them freedom, who championed the cause of human rights. Osita Aguna fought for freedom, for women, widows. That was why we did what we did last time, because what we did was just one aspect of his life. On the 4th of January, we did this just. He was a journalist, was a politician, parliamentarian, a traditional ruler, and a freedom fighter, fought for human rights. We choose that part. He's somebody that fought for widows. I decided to honor him for that just last 4th of January. So, Osita Aguna was also a historian. He found the first museum in Eastern Nigeria. The first museum in Eastern Nigeria, in Igbo land, the Obuofonri Museum, is still there. I'll show you. Till today, no government has come to give penny. No government has come to give penny, 1 naira, to say for the upkeep of this museum. Nobody. And yet, people have come here from. There was a time we had visitors from 33 countries of the world, professors from different universities, both America, England, Australia, to come here and study by Igbo tradition. I can't name you other people that have been here. You know, the picture I show you here is who is this one? It's Jerry Ghana. Jerry Ghana was former Minister of Information. Osita Aguna were the first Nigerian journalists, so he came here to pay courtesy call. So Aguna is a man of many faces. Which one are you gonna talk about? Journalism, politician, traditional ruler, historian, freedom fighter? Which one? Where are you gonna start? So it's a shame. Every president that ruled this country have been here except Obasanjo. Obasanjo was the only person that has not set foot in this palace. I can show you pictures. This is Ebitu Kiwa, because it's #2 man. This is Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe in the palace. I'll show you bigger pictures. I'll show you pictures of Awolowo. Abiola have a room where he sleeps here. MK Abiola, as far as he was concerned on this planet, Osita Aguna was his father. Abiola have a room where he sleeps all day. Everything he did, from being Bashorum, Ariana Kakamfo, everything he does, he invites my father. And if you go when he took the 14th Ariana Kakamfo, the first people that took picture with him was my father and my mother. Yes. Abiola took this place as his home. And I show you a station wagon packed out there, old station wagon, Puyo. That was what Abiola bought Aguna. He bought him a Mercedes, and Aguna said no. Osita Aguna was that patriotic. He doesn't drive a car that's not made in Nigeria. Bring him the biggest Mercedes or limousine, not him. If it's not made in Nigeria, he will not enter that car. That was him. After he bought him a Peugeot, Abdulaziz they bought him a Peugeot. Wazir Ibrahim. I can keep naming Nigerians, 7, 8 of them. Each time, any car that's not made in Nigeria, Peugeot, you say no. He was that patriotic. The day Jerry Ghana came, I showed you the picture. The day Jerry Ghana came, they came to promote made in Nigerian goods. Aguna came out and said, all right, this person stand up, take off your shoes, show me where it's made. Oh, Igwe is made in Brazil. And he showed them everything was made in Nigeria. And he's a radical, he's a revolutionary. Once a revolutionary, always a revolutionary. And then he was angry with them that you come here to promote made in Nigerian goods, and none of you are wearing it made in Nigeria. You know what happened? After they left here, nobody, all those people that came from, these are editors from different newspapers that came with minister. Nobody wrote that story that they visited here. Only Champion newspaper, something tiny thing like this. Because Aguna challenged them that you are not patriotic enough. You are not following our footsteps as founding fathers of this country. So the journalists don't want to be criticized. This is Nigeria for you. Every day you see them on the news opening their big tilapia mouth like fish. And yet they haven't got the courage. They haven't got the patriotism in them to promote Nigeria. Journalists who will sit here and criticize everybody. Like my father will always say, before you point finger at somebody else, look at yourself. Before you clean somebody else, clean yourself. Before you criticize somebody else, criticize yourself. That was what happened on that day, Jerry Ghana's visit. No newspaper wrote that story. There were about over 10 editors that came with him. Because Aguna shouted around, say, you came here to promote Nigerian goods, none of you are wearing anything made in Nigeria. That's Nigeria for you. The people that sit every day and tell you that what?